Hello everyone and welcome to the 6th episode of the European Dialogue for Sustainable Cities. I am Saura Varomo and I'm hosting you today with Jussi Knuuttila. In this dialogue series, we want to highlight solutions that other cities could be using in their daily development. We also want to always host one previous European Green Capital city. Today's theme is waste and circular economy. And we are really happy for having guest city of Vitoria Gasteiz, the European Green Capital from 2012.
And welcome on my behalf as well. My name is Jussi Knuuttila and I'm your second host for today. And our viewers, you can participate in the discussion by asking a question by writing in the chat on YouTube. And let's start. Let's activate the chat by asking a question. Where are you joining us from today? So please write in the chat where you are joining us from today.
Great to see where people are coming today. Our first city guest comes from the city of Vitoria Gasteiz, Joseba Sanchez. Welcome. He's the head of the waste management unit of the City Council since 2008, with responsibility for the public management of waste collection and its different treatments also within the city. He has previously worked in the public sector, in the Department of Environmental Planning, but also as a consulting work. Welcome to the show, Joseba.
Welcome all of you and thanks a lot for the invitation. I hope to learn a lot today.
Thank you. And the second guest today is Tuuli Myllymaa. Tuuli works in the Finnish Environment Institute, which is a multidisciplinary environmental research and expert institute. Tuuli works as the head of the Waste and Circular Economy unit and also leads the HIUKKA-project. And the HIUKKA-project, it aims at mainstreaming the circular economy, but also implementing the national waste plan in Finland. So welcome to the discussion, Tuuli.
Hello everybody and thank you very much for the invitation.
Great to have you. The next guest is Merijn Tinga, aka the plastic soup surfer. Merijn is known for his extraordinary and impactful campaigns around plastic pollution, focused on policymakers and companies' CEOs. The Plastic Soup Surfer is a small, creative and flexible NGO. Merijn Tinga is also a trained biologist and a passionate surfer. Great to have you in the show, Merijn.
Thank you for having me and looking forward to all the other initiatives as well. Thank you.
Glad to have you with us. And our final guest today is Miila Hyökki. Miila is an upcycling environment artist and eco-hairdresser and the founder of HIUKKA-project. The project works on finding solutions for side flow materials as human hair and an animal fur. Together with her partners, they strive toward a circular economy model, designing out waste, keeping products and materials in use. And Miila's mission is to perpetuate pro-environmental behaviors. And welcome to the show, Miila.
Hello. Thank you. Thank you for the invitation. It's an honor to be here with this group.
Great to have you.
Great. Well, okay. It seems that at least we have audience from Lahti joining, but if there's still some other people also there in the lines, you are free to chat with us. We also later on ask some questions from the audience, so it's great if you participate. The topic of today's discussion is waste. According to Eurostat, more than 2,000 million tons of waste was produced in European Union in 2018 by all economic activities and households. Can you imagine the amount? I can't really. This means 5.2 tons of waste per inhabitant every year. So a lot. European Union is trying to speed up the transition to circular economy. EU legislation sets recycling targets for municipal construction and demolition and electronic waste too. An EU Circular Economy Action Plan aims to reduce pressure on natural resources and creating sustainable growth. We have a lot to do, I think, still.
And to cheer up the mood a little bit and starting our panel discussion, let's start with a personal question, and this is to all of the panelists. So could you describe to our viewers a success story that is related to waste and circular economy in your own hometown? And we could start from Joseba. Do you have a story to tell? Sorry, Joseba, could you unmute your microphone?
Sorry.
No worries.
Okay, I'll show you some pictures while I'm speaking, so you can see a picture of what we are doing. Okay, 1 minute. Let's see if sorry. I don't know if you're seeing it or not.
Not at the moment.
Not at the moment. Okay. Well. Anyway, I don't know if you see it or not.
No, I think what you could do is you could stop screen sharing and describe it.
Yes,
we have a video in the end of the broadcast, so we can see it in our own eyes. So.
Okay, great. Well, what I'm going to talk about is a small project. It's not a big project for Vitoria, but I think it's quite curious, and it has had a lot of success here in Spain and in Vitoria. It's related to bicycle wire tires. Why? Because it's not a very important waste. It's in fact it's a very small amount of waste. But you know, here in Spain, we don't recycle them. We send them to landfills. So we wanted to make a small project of circular economy relating with this. Why? Because in Vitoria we are using a lot the bike. In fact, it's the city in Spain with most bicycles per habitant. So we wanted to do something special with bikes. What we did was to put some special containers in all the shops that were selling bicycle tires and that were also repairing them. So it was about 27-30 shops in the city where we put some special containers to collect these tires. And we collect them door to door. We send them to a special place where they were just treating them. So preparing secondary raw materials. And with these secondary raw materials, we have done some separators for the special bike lines that we have in Vitoria, so that the bicycles in Vitoria are going into the bicycle lanes in Vitoria. That's the main curious thing of the project, and that's why we are really proud of this project. We have done almost 20 kilometers a year with these separators, and this year we are going to prepare the floor itself with this material.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So it's still an ongoing project all the time.
Yes, it's going. It started a long time ago, and it's going. And at the end of today's show, you could see a video of this project, which I think it's quite curious.
We'll look for that.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks a lot.
And then Tuuli, do you have a story to tell?
Yes, I have a story to tell you too, and thank you for Joseba's story, and we will continue kind of in the same theme. I will share you my picture in a while. Hopefully you can see it now. And my story is about this what you can see now. Hopefully you can see a picture of our waste collection point, and there is also a bicycle there, and there is several things that I think are very well done here in my hometown Espoo. And firstly, you can see all the collection bins there behind. There is plastic, and there is bio-waste, and there is glass and metal, and there is package waste and so on. But I want you to focus on this bicycle, and that's because this is bought from Helsinki Metropolitan Area Reuse Center. And this is an organization that is taking donations from people and companies, and then they are selling and also, if necessary, repairing it and selling with a very, very reasonable price. So this is an old bike, but it's new for me. And the reason for choosing this picture is that I think these reuse centers, they are very good example on how municipalities can make very efficient circular economy work. So you can, if you don't need some products or goods, you can donate them into that center, and then somebody who needs can buy them. So that's the story behind my picture.
Thanks a lot, and I think they have a lot of customers also there, so it's much used as well. So the service,
yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, and in Espoo there is a very big facility which is full of different furnitures and so on. But yeah, thanks.
Thank you, Tuuli. Inspiring story. And now we're moving to Merijn. Do you have a picture or a story to tell?
Hi everyone, great to be here. Thank you. Yes, I do. There's been a recent development in the Netherlands, and that is that there is deposits on small plastic bottles implemented, and I was part of that. You can see that here. Now, for you, of course, in Finland, this is nothing new, but for us in the Netherlands, this is a hard-fought battle. There's been a trench war going on about deposits on small plastic bottles over 15 years, and this picture I'm now showing you is from 4 years ago when I went up to Parliament, and I had 55,000 signatures with me after having surfed across the North Sea on the surfboard made from plastic bottles. You can see there in the middle of the picture. And well, I had 55,000 signatures, but I also written my own resolution, which I've just handed out to all these Parliament members, and they signed that resolution. And that resolution became the policy. And with that policy, we now have deposits on small plastic bottles. And that, well, depends. Oh, sorry, that's my Siri starting. So we now have deposits in the Netherlands, and that means we have up to 90% less littering. So 75 million less plastic bottles littered in the Netherlands from, well, 1st of July on. And I have another picture to show you. These are single-use plastic cups. And in my city of Leiden, where I live, we now have deposits on small plastic bottles, which mean no littering of plastic cups anymore. So that's an example of how an instrument like deposits can actually help prevent littering, but also increase recycling. And this is something done in our city of Leiden, which has a lot of canals, a lot of water, a lot of single-use cups being lost each year in the canals until we had deposits. And we're now working hard on trying to get this, despite the Corona year, of course, the COVID year, in which we had no festivals at all. We're now trying to spread that across the entire Netherlands. Thank you.
Wow, amazing.
Brilliant news.
Yeah. Great stories, and it's great that you have the deposit system finally in place there as well. Super.
For you, it's nothing special, but for us, like I said, it's been a hard-fought battle.
Well, I think we can still learn so much from this example as well, so it's great. What about you, Miila? Would you like to also share a story?
Yes, of course. Let me get, actually what I thought is also plastic related, and it kind of touches the industry. Where do I work? It's cosmetic, and for me the big worriness is all the bottle waste on the cosmetic industry. Let me share this photo, this image here now. So this is like an, okay, it's a circulate economy, but it's related to the waste, but it's more like an innovation. It's material innovation. Says screen here. Can you see it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, Sulapack. So this Sulapack is a material innovation made by two biochemists, Finnish ladies, and I have to take it off.
Well.
So this is this plastic is totally biodegradable. It doesn't leave any microplastic behind. Even if it would go on the ocean, it would be marine friendly, and it biodegrades in 48 hours. And you can see the top of the circulate aspect come from the main material is the side flow from the forest industry. And then there is another, but all that plastic is non-microplastic. And it's been used in, they started for the cosmetic industry. Then they start to experimenting with the food industry. It's been used for the dry foods. In the cosmetic industry, it works for the emulsions, oil or water-based. But from the food industry, cosmetics, they can use it it's been used as a hangers. They have made these straws. They can last for many hours. And I think any plastic object can be replaced with this. Also, it's like, it's just a new recipe that you could, any factory with the same plastic making machine, they could use that recipe. So it's no need to get a new factory and the new machine, so it's good. They started 2016 in Helsinki, and they are pioneers, definitely. And I think in the aspect of like plastic, also we have to recycle, but what we need more is also like new innovations, new material innovations. And this is an excellent example.
You're right. We also need to have new materials, new safer for the environment.
Yeah, exactly. I think plastics are going to be a hot topic today.
Yep.
Yeah.
Also, we would like to ask from the audience, in case you happen to have a success story in your mind about circular economy, some examples that you would like to share from your own city or maybe your own daily life, you're more than free to comment there in the chat. So please tell us your own story.
Yes, and let's get right into it. Joseba, let's go back in time to 2012 and your green capital year in Vitoria Gasteiz. So could you tell us what kind of projects related to waste did the city implement during your green capital year?
Yes, in 2012 we made two main projects related to waste. The first one was about what we call it Reutilitzagune, which is a spot to reuse things. Okay, a public spot to reuse. So it's a very big like a shop. It's like a big shop where all the citizens can bring there all the things that they don't use, And there, what we do is we try to fix them if they are broken. We try to make some small things to all these furniture, bicycles, books, toys, all these kind of things, and then we give them back to the citizens for free. It's all for free. So it was a very important project for us because it increased a lot the percentage of reuse that we had in the city, and it was very well seen by the people from Vitoria. So we were really proud of that. And another project was related to organics, the collection of organics. Till 2012, we only had some small bins in some places to collect organics, more related to bars and restaurants and all these kind of things. And in 2012, we decided to go ahead with a collection of organics to all the citizens, where we put for a small city like Vitoria, like about 800 bins in the city for collecting organics, and this gave us a lot of material, good material, where we can make some composting. And it was an important project for us in 2012.
Okay, thank you, Joseba. And the first project you mentioned was really citizen participation related. How important is it really that the citizens are involved in planning waste management? What's your opinion from Vitoria Gasteiz?
For me, it's absolutely okay that the citizens are involved from the beginning in all these projects, because I always say the same thing. There are no good and bad waste collection systems or waste management systems. All of them are good if the citizens like it and they use it properly and they participate. And they all are bad if they don't participate, if they see it like an imposition or something that they don't like in their streets. So for me, from the beginning, if you ask people, if you present the projects, if you have this kind of forums where they can express their opinion, and we take their opinion in consideration to implement the projects, I think it's absolutely key for a city to be successful in the waste collection.
Thank you, Joseba.
I have to agree much with you. Reading one comment from Lahti, actually, Antti was saying that in Lahti we have 3 places where citizens can borrow trash pickers for free. It encourages us to keep the environment clean, and this has been one of those projects that we have been funding here. Extremely popular, it seems. So it's really great that people have the possibilities to join this movement.
Yeah, exactly. And talking about Lahti, thank you again, Joseba.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Sara, you were on vacation last week, and I decided that I'd take a trip to Kujala Waste Center area here in Lahti to show our viewers how the city promotes circular economy. And I was joined by Maria Jäppinen. Maria works as a waste management developer in the city of Lahti, and I shot a small video. Now we are going to see that small video insert.
Okay.
Kujala is a waste management center here in Lahti. Of the waste that is received by the center, almost 100% is utilized.
Tässä käsitellään kaikennäköistä sekajätettä, mistä me erotellaan sitten tuossa laitoksessa, niin muovit, metallit, alumiinit. Sitten me tehdään siitä myös SRF-polttoainetta lisäksi.
43% of all municipal waste generated in the area was recycled in 2020, and 56% was directed to energy recovery. Several companies here work in recycling and material recovery, benefiting also from each other's expertise. This is where Lahti has been pioneering in waste treatment processes.
Meillä pystyy todellakin nämä jätteet jaottelemaan täällä niin kuin tosi moneen monen fraktioon ja suurin osa niistä on ilmaisia.
Nyt on omakotitalon muutto, eli siellä on 50 vuoden ajalta muutaman sukupolven tavarat, että nyt tyhjennetään lähes kaikkia ylimääräistä, mitä siinä on kertynyt. Ja nyt tulee muun muassa maaleja tässä ja semmoisia, mitä ei voi enää käyttää. Ja menee sitten eteenpäin oikeaan paikkaan, ettei ne joudu luontoon.
So thanks again, Maria, for joining me for a small trip. How did you like it?
Wow, that was brilliant. Nice trip you had.
Yeah, it was really nice weather also. And I have to say there's so much happening in Lahti when it comes to waste that Maria has actually decided to launch a podcast this autumn. So sounds exciting. We will see what happens with the podcast.
Super. Tuuli, you lead the Circ Waste project that includes almost 20 different pilots projects in Finland. Through them, you have gained concrete results and new information about circular economy. Also, Finland is very, very known about circular economy roadmaps and different works with that. Could you tell briefly about Circ Waste project first, what it actually is?
Yes, Circ Waste project is a very large project which includes about 20 partners, and each of them has their own pilot, and they are from different themes, and they are also having that one in common, that they are implementing the national waste plan and implementing the circular economy, and the project is continuing until the end of 2023.
So what kind of tools do cities have to advance circular economy? Could you briefly tell about those?
Yes, I think the first and maybe the most powerful tool could be to have a strategic roadmap for circular economy. A roadmap is kind of a discussion tool, and with it the municipality and all the stakeholders can have their discussions, and they can arrange and plan common targets that are relevant for that city. And that's why I think that strategic commitment is very important. And this kind of roadmap can also be used inside the municipality to plan the resources. For example, hiring an expert on circular economy that will be focusing on that issue, and also at each time and in each point it will be up to date to issues that are relevant what comes to the circular economy. So that roadmap is the first one. Then the second one, I think that is that in public procurements, there are very many possibilities to advance circular economy. And one major theme is construction and demolition, because they are huge user of natural resources, and also there are big decisions made in municipalities related to those construction projects. How to, for example, use recycled material and where to build, because there are also land use issues and biodiversity issues when you are planning construction something. Then the third one to mention is that to invest to good level waste management. It's also very important, and to activate people so that they are always aware that it's important to sort waste, and it's important to think the nature, think the national resources when you are handling your products. And the first and not the least point and tool is to monitor, to see where you are going and measure, have quantitative targets. What will be achieved next and when, and to measure, because if you measure, then you can lead. So I think these are those tools I would mention. which are the most important ones.
Okay, quite large tools you provided. Thanks a lot. I think here in Lahti region we started a lot with waste sorting possibilities, providing them to the citizens, and now we move much more towards circularity as a holistic theme, also working a lot with construction sector, for instance. But I guess there's still a lot to do within the city level. In Finland we also did one of the first roadmaps for circularity, but within one single city, that's another kind of issue, I would say. Thanks a lot, Tuuli. Thank you.
Thank you, Tuuli. And Merijn, you have described how a transition in the way we appreciate plastics, the designs and intended behavior is needed to fundamentally change plastic pollution. And before, you described how you served in Europe, and I have to ask you a question. How does plastic pollution affect the marine ecosystem here in Europe?
Well, we don't actually know exactly, but we do know that most seabirds have plastics in them, and there's one specific type of bird which is being studied, has been studied for a long time, which is the petrel, which is a kind of seagull, and they find 20 pieces of plastic in their stomach on average, even though that is declining a little. But just to give you an impression, 20 pieces of plastic for such a small bird is the same as a lunchbox full of plastic for a human. That's the amount of plastic this small bird has in it. So it affects the environment. You can see it on the coast as well. But like I said, we see a small decline of plastic pollution in the North Sea in the last 6 years. That's what research has shown us. But I think it's also important not just to confine this problem to the marine environment, but just to take this to our own health as well. Of course, also we don't know what the actual effects are on our human health, but we do know that we now find not only the additives but also the microplastics itself in our blood. So we already found the additives in our urine, in our blood, but we are now also, the latest research shows that we can find microplastics in the placenta of the fetus, of the newborn baby. And circumstantial evidence from studies in the lab show that this has an effect on our immune system as well. This is pressurizing our immune system. And as we just inhale, as we sit here, as we inhale, there are nanoplastic, very small pieces of plastic coming straight into our lungs. So this is something we should be very careful about.
Well, horrible to hear, really.
And pretty scary. I'm like, hope I don't have too much plastic inside me right now as we speak. That is very, very scary story.
People previously thought that microplastic is an ocean question, but actually we will find them everywhere nowadays, also in the freshwater ecosystems and everywhere, basically. So that's definitely one of the big questions that we need to work dealing with human health also.
Yeah, and also, Merijn, really, I mean, this is a very wide question, but what do you think, what are the means, how can we reduce the plastic pollution?
The thing is, we need to find a new norm. There should be a new norm on the way we handle plastics. If we want a sustainable way of handling plastics, we cannot just leave this up to the public. We need regulation. There's been a lot of awareness, but still, of course, this throwaway culture, throwaway plastics are propelled, are catalyzed by this material plastic. Plastic is actually catalyzing throwaway culture because it's always the cheapest and the easiest solution. So if that does not change, I'm afraid not much will change, and that's why we need regulation Because if we want to tackle the throwaway culture, if we want to tackle plastic, we are tackling our own behavior.
It's only like volunteer things what we can do, but we need to have regulation too. There's actually a question from the audience now, a bit related to this one. What do you think? Is it possible to increase consumption and at the same time reduce the amount of waste?
That's a question for me. I'd say at the moment that is pretty difficult because growth, most business models are about growth, and growth all has to do with more material and selling more. So if we want business models, they should be based on reuse models, and that's if we just look at that takes a lot of working together between in whole cycles. And for that, once again, you need a level playing field, and for a level playing field, you need regulation. Otherwise, you will have too many free riders disrupting that system. I think on the whole, what plastic has given us is the freedom. And freedom in packaging, which means freedom in different types of materials, which means freedom for the consumer as well. Since plastic is always the cheapest and easiest, most comfortable solution, we'll need regulation to push that back, and new norm, a shame. I guess we need shame, plastic shame, single-use plastic shame to really change that.
Thanks.
Thank you, Merijn.
We'll give the possibility for other panelists also to comment on this consumption and amount of waste question later on. Miila, you lead the HIUKKA-project in which you investigate how to utilize hair fibers. Could you tell the viewers what the project is all about and who are the actors that are involved?
Yes, thank you. Well, HIUKKA, let's start even just with the name. HIUKKA, hair in Finnish hues, and fur is karva. So HIUKKA and hyvä is good. So it's hair, fur, good, the name. And basically what we make is fiber mats out of hair, fur, and fleece. And we start this project on January this year only. When I got this felting machine from the USA, they are our business partners there. We've been doing this for a longer time already. Then it was same time when we got Green Lahti funding. Thank you so much for that. And so the main workers with me, there is a Pekka Litmanen. He runs this Painovoima Society in Lahti. Then there is a university lab, the University of Applied Science of Lahti is involved. They are in the process. And also the very important, I call them partners, are all the hair salons, pet groomers, and fleece farmers. So our first mission was to invite them to join the project. And we thought that we only start in the Lahti area. So we give boxes for the hair salons there. But then, and many were joining, so they had to join. But then I started to get like mails from all around the country, like salons wanted to join. Because we didn't say no. So now we have hair donations coming all around the country. And that for me was sort of like a sign that people do want to make things different. They, even it takes them a bit more time and effort, they want to do things differently. What is nice. And also those hair salon workers, they play an important part because they are the ones who can keep passing the knowledge, the information about the material, how it can be reused. And the possibilities, there are And for the knowledge we have now, we lean on the research that is done globally. What we get from the USA, from Australia, and there's many potential.
Okay. Last time I visited my own hairdresser, she was extremely proud of being part of this project and telling about it. So that was a great. It seems that really they are excited and much involved too. What do you think about the gaps? Are there any, if you think about this project and possibilities for maybe scaling up and taking this as?
Like the potential, because now the knowledge we have, so we are making these oil absorbing mats. And there is a possibility that you could use it on the plants as a fertilizer for the mud, because hair is hydrophobic, so it attracts the keratin, attracts humidity towards it. So there's been studied that when you put it on your plant pot, for example, you have to water it half amount of less, because it absorbs some water in it, and then little by little evaporating it releases nitrogen. That's good it's like a fertilizer for the ground, for the mud. And also they know that the insects, they don't like hair. The insects that like plants, they like hair of fur. So it works as a pesticide. The gaps, like you say, well, the product, the mats, basically what you make, they do look fair. I mean, you can see it's organic making, and they said at least. So maybe for somebody it can be a bit unpleasant.
Thanks a lot. Very, very interesting project, and it has been very visible in the social media as well. So yeah, good job. Thanks a lot, Miila.
Thank you, Miila. So, going back to Vitoria Gasteiz, Joseba, do you have anything to comment on what the other panelists have said before? I know we had a very interesting question about increasing consumption and reducing the amount of waste. Is it possible at the same time? Maybe you could chime in with your comments.
You know, I think, my opinion, that we already consume more than that we should consume as citizens. I mean, probably in the industry, it can be a bit different, but as a citizen, I think that we consume very much more than what we should consume. I'm quite. I agree with the opinion that says that plastic is freedom, and in fact it is. I mean, when we say plastic, we say that we can take just one small piece of fruit and just wrap it in plastic. I don't know why, but we like doing this. We like bringing it to some other places. Why? Because people ask for it. If people wouldn't ask for this, we wouldn't wrap it in plastic. But people want it wrapped in plastic. So I think it's quite different if we don't change our mentality, if we don't aware people that we are consuming more than what we should. It's quite difficult to do this. I think in our society, it's almost impossible. It's almost impossible to increase the level of consumption without increasing the level of waste. But let's say that we can think that we should be optimistic, because in the future things will change. I'm sure it will change, and if awareness doesn't change, I think that the laws will change and they will make us change. Because I think that this freedom, we don't understand. Okay, the freedom. You know, we think that freedom is our rights, and they're not our rights. The freedom is something that you can do whatever you want, but always with some rules. And I think that we have already break these rules for our world.
Freedom, in a way. What about other panelists. What do you think about this question about consumption and amount of waste? Are they always related, or could you see sort of some kind of development that we could consume still like today, but without producing as much waste? Tuuli, how do you see it?
I see that we have to change the way we consume, as previous panelists already mentioned. So I think our hope is that we will find new ways, new materials, and new ways of reusing those products and reusing all the materials, which will then affect so that we will have less waste. And we will be forced to, well, share some products or services, and we will also be well served more services in the future, I hope, so that it will affect to the amounts of waste. But if we look the correlations in the history, it has been so that the amounts of waste have been following the same trends than the GDP and the consumption, other indicators. So we have to learn something new and do differently than before. But I have optimistic feeling that because we have to, we will find new ways, and the solutions are probably those services and shared services and new materials, which are easier to recycle and easier to reuse. But we will have to keep up the hope, because that's the only thing that is on our responsibility to all the time find the solutions.
Thank you, Tuuli. And something that I picked from previous conversation with Merijn was talking about norms and regulations. This is a question to all of the panelists. When I think of regulations, EU comes to my mind. So a question is the EU Green Deal doing enough when it comes to plastic pollution? Could someone maybe comment on that? What is now being done in EU? And Merijn, if you can start.
Well, the thing that comes to mind, the first is of course the Single-Use Plastics Directive, which just came into place 3rd of July, so that's less than a week ago, which is a good step. I'd say that, and you might say it's only a very small fraction of everything of plastic pollution, and we're talking about single-use plates and cutlery and earbuds, which they found on the beach. And I guess, but the thing I like about it is the angle, and the angle is that Frans Timmermans, the EU commissioner, started out by looking at marine litter, and they used that as the start. That's the good thing about it. But what you see at the moment is that a lot of companies are actually trying to look for alternative materials instead of looking for alternative behavior. I think we should invest our time and energy not in finding alternative material, which will only facilitate the throwaway culture. We need to look for new types of behavior and try to push that in the form of reuse and reduction of plastics in general, single-use plastics in specific.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Merijn.
What about others? Would you like to comment on the regulation question? Are we having enough regulation to make this problem a little smaller in the future? Tuuli.
Yes, thank you. I think there is some regulation that I feel that would very much promote the circular economy in each and every material, not just in plastic. That is that there should be requirements that in new products there should be a certain amount of recycled material included, so that it should be part of the new products. And that would have the impact on the market, so that the recycled material would find the way to the new products. Of course, we must change the behavior. We must do everything on that side too, but there should be some regulation that would say that you must use that much recycled material in your products. And that's the way we close the cycles, because then the product design will go further and the material design will go further, because when you are creating a product or material, you also have to think what's the rest of the cycle of that product.
Thanks a lot, Tuuli. Well, maybe going then still once to Vitoria Gasteiz and Joseba. I would like to ask from you, since you've been working a lot with the waste questions in the city, what do you think, are there any barriers on the way towards completely waste-free cities, and what are the main barriers for that?
I think the main barrier can be the awareness of people. Barriers are only inside us. I think that if we are all aware and if we are all in the same direction, there would be no barriers. Of course, there are technical barriers, and of course, there are some materials that have to be better done. But I think our part all starts from us. We've seen, for example, with this COVID issue, that there has been a lot of masks and a lot of gloves used, and at least in Spain, they've said that we cannot recycle them. We have to take them to incineration or to landfill. No possibility for gloves and for masks to be recycled by law. I don't know if maybe it's something that is okay, because I mean, there's a health issue there that I don't understand very well. But I think that regarding to materials, these are materials that can be recycled, or that can be eco-designed differently for this use. So I think everything starts from us, but I don't know, let's say.
Yeah, that has been very, very visual this year with the masks. Yeah, we found so many during the campaign that we had this May to actually count how many of those were, but a lot were found.
Yeah, still too many masks on the streets.
Yeah.
Something I see every day. Hey, thank you, Joseba. We have a nice, also a bit funny final round left. And it's about myths, claims and misconceptions that one might consider when it comes to waste and also circular economy. And yeah, you may agree or disagree, just give 1 or 2 sentences, a short reason why. And the first myth goes to Joseba. So here we go. Circular economy is just another fancy word to describe recycling.
No. Definitely no. The eco-design is part from this. We have the awareness, which is not included in just circularity, and of course we have to take the materials to collect the materials or the wastes in a different way to make them circular. I think it's not the same.
What about Tuuli? European Union is left alone globally in circular economy implementation.
My answer is also no. And that's because we are all part of the new and better future. And the circular economy targets on saving resources and closing cycles and creating socially and economically sustainable future. They are global wide, and are very similar to the United Nations Sustainability Development Goals. And therefore, it's not a threat that the EU would be left alone, but everybody is needed and everybody will join because this is the way to go and the only way to go and ensure the carbon neutral circular economy and ensure the biodiversity of the nature and also to create socially and economically sustainable future. So no, we are going to that direction together globally.
Thank you, Tuuli. We should also have some yes answers. Merijn, ocean plastic primarily comes from ocean dumping and industry such as cruise ships and container ships, something that I've heard.
You want me to answer yes, but still I'm answering no. No, but it depends on whether you look locally or regionally. If you look at Europe or Western Europe, you can see that there's 44% of what we find, research says, is actually is sea-based, which means from fishing nets up to waste dumping, maybe from cruise ships. I don't think so in Western Europe, and the rest is from land. So 66 or 56% is from land and from rivers. So most actually is from land. But if you look worldwide, it is said that, for instance, citizens from the UK and America, the USA, are actually responsible for most of the plastic pollution worldwide. Why is that? Because they ship their plastic waste to developing countries. Since China has a ban on plastics, they all ship it to other countries, and it's dumped there on landfills, and those tend to spill into the ocean nonetheless. So if that accounts to dumping, the answer might be yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Merijn.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks.
Miila, what about this statement? Loose, dirty hair, no thank you. Collecting human hair is a waste of time and resources.
Again, even I try to think, yes, I cannot, because let's start with the resources. It's a natural and endless resource. It does not take space on the land to grow. So it actually is a future material. That's what we have to start look into it. Scientists are already start to seeing these possibilities. So definitely no. And I think anything like what we talked before related to waste, I think let's even forget about the word waste. I think we have to start to see things as a material, side flows. And this is a material. It's made out of different layers and structure. There's a lot of keratin in it, so one fine strand can lift up a lot of weight. So I think it has a lot of possibilities. So no.
Great.
Thank you, Miila.
We'll believe you.
And yes, Saara, this was the 6th episode of European Dialogue for Sustainable Cities. What did you learn today?
We talked very, very much about plastic, which is, of course, sort of self-evident. But I think also that we need to think about just giving reasonable answers for that. So we probably need some plastics too in the future, but we should be more careful how to utilize it. And wrong kind of freedom, that was left to my mind today.
Yeah, and norms and regulations, it was something that I have in my mind at the moment, and also different ways how to reduce the pollution. And thank you for our viewers. We will see again in a month. The theme of the next episode is air quality, and that episode will air on August the 4th, so stay tuned.
And at the end of this episode, there will be a video greetings from Vitoria Gasteiz, which is pretty beautiful, I think. Thank you very, very much, our great panelists, but also our viewers for joining us today. This is the European Dialogue for Sustainable Cities. Hi.
Bye-bye.
Every journey begins with an initial impulse. Every change begins with a decision. Every revolution begins with a gesture. In Vitoria Gasteiz, we have an industrial link with the bicycle, a tradition of sport on two wheels, and a commitment to cyclist mobility as a competitive alternative for people and also merchandise. When you travel by bicycle, you're contributing towards a more sustainable urban transport model. But you're also inevitably generating some kind of waste, like the wheels when they need replacing. Together with local repair workshops, we've implemented a special collection system for tubes and tyres. Our aim with this project is for bicycle wheels to never stop circulating. We have subsequently been looking for technological solutions in order to use the rubber in different productive processes. We want to transform the problem of waste into raw materials for our economy. To come full circle, your wheels have been transformed into signalling elements for the cycle path network in Vitoria Gasteiz. We have recycled the bicycle wheel. Now let's recycle all the rest. Reduce, reuse, repair, recycle.